legs hurt at the moment. Unfortunately, I've torn my supraspinatus in my top of my shoulder, and it's going to take a bit to heal. And in the meantime, I have to do restricted upper body workouts, and so I'm doing a lot of legs, man. But anyway, I digress. Today is going to be another BYO gaming computer build. What does that mean? It means the customer has bought all the bits himself and chosen all the bits himself, and he's brought them in, and I'm going to build it for him. And this is his old one, and as you can see, it's an old NZXT. And yeah, he's decided he's moving on from RGB and other stuff, and he's going to something a bit more minimalistic. So a nice fractal case that has a timber finish on it. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Seems to be a trend these days. I'm getting more people asking for a minimalistic build. I guess that's the way it's going to go, but then I guess it'll swing back to something else eventually. Who knows? It's the PC gaming industry. Anyway, I better get this out the way. The only reason he brought it in was to get all his SSDs out, which I've done. I'm going to repurpose those. But yeah, I'll show you what he's bought and we'll move into building. I've got to get this off the desk. Oh man, it looks heavy. Alright, let's start with the new parts that he's chosen, and the first thing is the case that everything's going to go into, and he's chosen a Fractal Design North case, which is a mid-tower case, and as I said, he's gone for a timber finish. This is like a varnished timber, and you can actually smell the timber varnish smell when you get it out of the box. So yeah, that's a bit of a trend at the moment. We'll just take the sides off. It's actually looking like quite a nice case. Alright, and as you can see, he's no glass, it's a mesh, so you can see there's mesh. So yeah, not interested really in RGB, as I said at the beginning. So yeah, inside we've got a nice area for putting in your motherboard, and it looks like it's come pre-installed, yep, for ATX. So if you're going micro ATX, you'll need to shift your mounts around. We've got a gap here so we can put a 360mm radiator in there if we wanted to, and on the top this just pops up, and on top you can put a, I'm not sure if that's 360 or not, maybe only a 280, but you got room to put a type of radiator up there, but probably not a 360. And then you've got a bit of mesh here to let airflow for your power supply, and some ports here to put your cables through, and some rubberized ports for cable management. And there's one right here as well, so you can get your 8-pin power. The front just pops off. You don't need any force compared to other ones, and these are actually 140 mils, so that'll make it a lot quieter. And on the back of this, it has a dust cover that's removable, so easy to clean. If I tilt it, you can see it's gone for some gold trimming, which is very nice. You got your power button, your headphone, your microphone, 2 front USB, and a front Type C. So yeah, that's quite nice. And on the other side, we have all our connectors. We've got the Type C connector, HD audio connector, USB 3 connector, some of your fans connectors, and the dreaded front panel in split, not a block. Ugh. In terms of cable management, this is actually not as thick in here, so this might be a little bit trickier to cable manage. You're going to have to keep it in here by the looks of it, because there's not a lot of room in this area, so that'll be interesting. Power supply area looks okay, and there's actually two 3.5-inch bays in here that are removable, but you can put SATA drives on that, which I probably will be doing, because he's got 3 old SATAs SSDs he wants put in. So, and I think you can mount some here as well, so there's probably like 4 there that we can put in. There's actually a fan hub here as well, which seems to be connected via some cabling and stuff. So you run your cable onto the motherboard and then you can use that as a hub, so that's a handy little thing. And on the back, so this is interesting, the way the power supply is installed. You install this little bracket onto the back of the power supply and then you slide it in like that. So that's a way of putting it in without having to come from the side here, which sometimes is a bit tricky. You know, I'm sort of looking at the clearance here, and I don't think you'd be able to get your power supply in from the side, so that's the way it's meant to go. So on the bottom we have a removable dust filter, and we have like this gold trim on the feet, just sort of like the gold connectors, so that's nice. So that's what we're putting everything into, and we'll move on to the components.
A few moments later.
Alright, the CPU he's chosen is the Ryzen 7 9800 X3D, and it runs up to 5.2 gigahertz and has 8 cores and 16 threads. Pretty common chip that's chosen by gamers these days. Other than going up to a Ryzen 9, these are pretty good value. He's also got some G-Skill Ripjaw S5s. Looks like he's picked 6000 megahertz RAM, and looks like it's 32 gigs total with 2 16 gig sticks. And they've got a heat spreader on them, but no RGB or anything. To cool the Ryzen 7, he's chosen the Deepcool AK620 CPU cooler. It's an air cooler. He chose this because he had a bad experience with a liquid cooler apparently, but like, each to their own. I've never had any trouble with liquid coolers. If they're done right, the chance of leaking is pretty low. But obviously he's had a bad experience, so we're going with an air cooler. I don't know how big this thing is, but going by the size of the box, it's going to be pretty chunky. As a previous video I showed, that can create a bit of crampness in the case and make it a bit hard to fit RAM and hard drives and graphics cards, so that'll make it a little bit harder, but he had a bad experience with the liquid cooler, so this is the way he's gone, and what the customer wants is what they get, and so that's what we'll be using to cool the Ryzen 7. And the motherboard he's chosen is an MSI Mag. It's a B850 Tomahawk Max Wi-Fi, and if I look on the back here, it's 5 gigahertz LAN. It's got Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 5.4, and it's got the Easy PCI Express release, so that's actually nice, considering we're going to have that big block on the CPU. That'll make it a little bit easier to get the video card in and out when we need to. So I'm thankful that he's chosen this motherboard actually. Alright, let's move on. For storage, he's got a NVMe from Crucial P3 Plus, and this is a 4 terabyte. This is going to be his primary drive, and then the 3 drives I got out of his old machine. 3 Samsungs from the old one, They'll be just like extra storage. So it's going to have a truckload of storage. And for graphics, this is probably the only thing, other than the big CPU cooler, this is the only other thing that I was a bit, he's gone for a PNY 5080, 16 gig GDDR7. So the reason I don't like this card is PNY is renowned for being a cheaper Chinese brand, and they tend to cut corners in the manufacturing of their cards. And if you watch a few different graphics card repair channels, you'll see that these guys often don't have the best quality, but not much we can do about it. He told me at the time when he bought this, because he's been buying them piece by piece, there was very big shortages on graphics cards, so he sort of just grabbed it while he could, and this was the only brand really available to him. So I understand what happened, but yeah, hopefully it won't give him trouble down the road. But yeah, not my brand of choice when it comes to graphics cards. Alright, and to power it all, he's gone for a really good MSI 1000 watt power supply. It's ATX 3.1 ready, and this is the MAG A1000G power supply, and these have that yellow color ends on the high power, 12 volt high power, so to make sure you get that cable seated properly. So I really like these. These are really good power supplies, so that's a good choice. And to finish it off, he's bought a 3-pack of some Corsair RS120 fans, just to help with a bit more airflow in the case. So yeah, I'll be fitting those somewhere in the case, probably on the roof I think, just to help air get out. And that's it, that's everything. And at the end we should have a nice minimalistic gaming machine. Should be pretty cool. Alright, let's get to it.
A few moments later.
Alright everyone, so now I've got the motherboard out. I've got the memory, processor, and the big air cooler for the CPU. This is what it looks like. It's pretty massive. Got a bit of weight to it, and that's one of the reasons I'm not real keen on these sort of air coolers, because that's going to sit like on your board like that, and you just look at the ratio to your motherboard. That's a lot of weight hanging off it when your computer is in the upright position. So that's one thing I do tell people is if you're going to transport your computer in your car or something, and you've got something like this installed, you might be better off lying it flat in the car rather than vertically, because if you get a decent enough bump, it can cause damage to your motherboard mounts there. I've actually had it happen to myself. I built a computer for a client and they wanted it shipped out, and when it arrived at the other end, this had been snapped off. So it does happen. One of the drawbacks of a big heavy CPU cooler hanging off your board. But as I've mentioned in other videos, they are cheaper and they don't involve liquid, so some people find that a safer option. But yeah, you just have to be aware of that. So I'm going to bring you in a bit closer and I'll just show you the process of mounting one of these on, and we'll go from there. Alright, let's switch over.
Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3.
Alright, now you're in a bit closer. I've opened the manual to the part about the AMD CPUs, and we can see the first thing we've got to do is remove the current mounts. so we can put in our own ones. So we'll get onto that right now. So here's a closer look of the size ratio to your motherboard. It's pretty nuts. So just remove the current mounts. They're removed. So we'll go to the next part, which is we need to get these 4 new screws and then put them onto the mounts that are currently there. So I'll just locate that in here, in our bag of bits that comes with it. So these bags are not marked Intel or AMD, so you're just going to have to go by what the manual shows. But what I have noticed is that definitely matches up these ones, so, and these other mounts are probably these bits here, so they're all together. So at least that's something. Alright, so yeah, it goes that way down. So we'll screw those on. Alright, so they're on. Now it looks like, according to this diagram, it goes on like that. But of course, it won't reach there, so it's definitely going to be here. Like so. And then this way, like that. Beautiful. Alright, so we've done that. And then there should be 4 Phillips head type screws that go on top of that. And that looks like them right there. Alright. And then that just pops on like that. These people that keep messaging me, I don't know. Always when I'm filming, every time. Alright. I'm just doing these hand tight, and then once they're all on, I'll switch my screwdriver to like a level 2, nothing tight, just to finish it off. And there we go. And I just realised I may have needed to get the CPU in first. I hope it still works. Let's see. Oh yeah, it still works. Cool. So we'll do that now, but it would have worked better if I didn't have that on there. So do your CPU first. Don't be a numbnut like I am. Amazes me, like I do so many computers and yet I still make silly mistakes.
You're so dumb.
Thankfully they're usually just minor. Alright. There we have it. So CPU's in, mounting brackets are in, and I'll just pop in the RAM. So you always populate the 2nd and 4th channels. That's what the standard on most motherboards will be. And as usual, just line up the slot, and you can't get it wrong. Done. And on the CPU cooler, you can see there is a peel. Make sure you take that off, otherwise the heat can't transfer into it. This kit did come with some paste, some deep cool paste. I think I might try it out, see if it's any good. If it doesn't run well, then I'll just change it out. But what I am interested to see is whether this fan is going to be clearing these memory modules, because that's a common problem with CPU coolers, air coolers. So if I just sit that, excellent. So it actually fits without, yeah, so it does fit. But as you can see, once this is mounted, if you did want to get this module out, you're not going to be able to get it out without removing this fan. And the fans are just held on with little clips here. So technically it wouldn't be that hard to take the fan off, so you can get to your modules, but yeah, it's something to be aware of. The good thing is, the other problem you can get with these is your video card's sitting right there, so quite often the release for your graphics card is extremely hard to get to. But this motherboard actually, I've only seen this on the really high end board, but I'll just take this off out of the way. It's scaring me. It's actually got a little release mechanism here. So you push this button and it locks back. Put your card in and release it, locks back in. So they've actually thought about that. So this motherboard is actually really good for air coolers, and they've also got that quick release M.2 slot, which I really like, spring loaded. So this motherboard's pretty good. I really like it. It's got two really good options for dealing with air coolers, so good pick on that one. The customer's done well. So yeah, we'll get some paste onto this, and we'll get these cables undone, and we'll get that all mounted up, and I'll fit in his M.2 SSD, and then we'll be ready to chuck this all into the case. Yeah, my voice just went to the case. Alright, well we've come to the end of this video. Just had to end it here because the video is getting quite long, because I'm trying to keep in as much information as I can for installing air coolers, because they do add a new complexity to the build. And you'll see what I'm talking about in the next video. Hopefully it'll only be a two-parter, but who knows. I did have a few struggles with this build, but yeah, thanks for staying to the end, and if you could leave a like, and even better a subscribe, it'd really help my channel, and that way I can keep making these videos and improve them. But anyway, for now, hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in the next vid. Bye for now.